democracy and total corruption and a totally non-functional state. Anyway, those are some of the issues that I think are relevant to your consideration. I simply would conclude by making the point that I believe that we live in an absolutely unique point in human history. There's never before been a time in the history of mankind, due to the technological genius of mankind, where we have been able seriously to contemplate the capacity to eliminate poverty in the world, to lift the real standards of living of people in all the countries of the world. Never before has that capacity been there, and never before has there been such a capacity to destroy mankind as we know it. This is the sort of challenge that we face, and many of these issues, as I say, have been brought into stark relief now by the new, if you like, Cold War situation. Soviet Union Cold War period is behind us. We have this new period where the forces of fanaticism are threatening stability. And I believe that there's an enormous responsibility on all countries, particularly on countries like Australia, to use every effort, strain every sinew that we've got to try and create a situation in which there is a true understanding between the nations of the world and the faiths of the world, to bring about a common understanding that we do have this capacity either to create the best situation that mankind can ever envisage on the one hand, or perhaps to eliminate mankind from this planet. That's the choice that we've got, and I hope that your conference here over these 2 days, will help to address the minds and the thinking and the recommendations of such a collection of people towards helping to achieve that purpose. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for enlightening us and providing us the insights that you've had. I had forgotten to ask Bob whether he would be kind enough to take a couple of questions, but he just told me yes. So I will open the floor for questions, and I'm sure there will be some burning yes.
Bob, I can remember you weeping for the students of Tiananmen Square.
Yeah.
I was just wondering if you could perhaps comment on that.
Yes, it's a fascinating comment upon the Chinese leadership. As I say, in that period from '83 to June of '89, there was no leader in the world who had a closer, more intimate relationship with the Chinese leadership than I did. That was recognised. And as I say, I did act as a go-between on a number of occasions between them and the United States. When Tiananmen happened, and on that morning when I made the public announcement and shed tears about what had happened, I'd just received a cable from our embassy which described in graphic detail the tanks and the deaths of students in Tiananmen Square. And I announced, somewhat to the consternation of the bureaucracy, Stuart, that all the Chinese students in Australia were going to stay. One of them had the temerity to say to me, "You can't do that, Prime Minister." I said, "Mate, it's done." Of course that was the end at that time of that relationship. It went into a deep freeze. I of course kept the diplomatic relationship going. And when I finished as Prime Minister at the end of '91, I was in my office in Sydney in later '92, and there was a call from the Chinese embassy in Sydney, the Chinese consulate in Sydney. Could the consul come and see me? I said, yes, of course. He came out and it was sort of an embarrassing period while he was shifted around a bit, and then he came to the point and said, my government has asked if you would be prepared to make a visit to China. I said, yes, of course I would. And I went up there, and the way things happen in China is when you're going to meet the leadership, you don't have a date and an hour fixed before you go up there, and then they get in touch with you and say no. So I was sitting in the day attire at the State Guest House there, and the word came that Jiang Zemin was ready to see me, so I went down there and walked into their major room there. Jiang Zemin was sitting there with his sort of inner cabinet. And I walked in, and Jiang Zemin got up from behind his chair and walked around to me, took my hand, and he said, "Prime Minister, there's one thing I want to say to you." Oh shit, what's this? And he said, "Prime Minister, China never forgets its friends, and we want you to know that we regard you as one of our best friends." And what they'd come to understand is that my grief was for the people of China, and it was a sincere grief, and they understood that, and from that time the relationship has been fully resumed, all doors are open, and so I think that's a significant commentary upon ultimately the degree of understanding that they did and do have about these issues.
Mr. Hawke, there's been renewed debate in recent months. I think there's been renewed debate in recent months